Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tonia, and today is going to be another mental health update video. Savannah has another therapy appointment today, but this time it's from home again. It's going to be a phone call appointment. But anyway, so yeah, her appointment is in something like 45 minutes or something, and we're going to do a whole video about how her therapy appointment goes today after it's finished. But I just wanted to pop on here really quick and explain what we're doing. And we're both going to put just a little bit of makeup on our face. So we're going to be on camera later. Not that it matters, but me being old, I feel better about it. So we'll be back after her therapy appointment.
I'm a healthy queen.
All right, so Savannah just had her therapy appointment. I haven't heard anything about it yet. So she's gonna tell me and you guys at the same time. And we're snacking because we didn't really eat much today.
Okay guys, so by the way, this is a new shirt. You like it?
We all know Savannah loves her tit slip.
Yeah, the classic tit slip. Okay, so anyway, so all of our conversations, I mean, it's probably the same for most therapists. They usually start with, how was your week? How have things been in your life since the last time I've seen you? So I just went ahead and told her that this is getting personal, y'all, but just like every other teenager, I had an argument with my parents, mainly my dad.
I wasn't even part of that.
Yeah, I had an argument with my dad.
I wasn't even there.
Usually it should be a different parent. Usually the daughter should butt heads with the mom, but I had a big argument with my dad like last week or something. It was like about mental health and stuff, and how just like I'm not trying to throw him under the bus either, so don't like put in the comments like, oh, your dad sounds like a terrible father or anything like that. But he was kind of misunderstanding my mental illnesses and kind of, I don't know, he doesn't really think before he says things, so he says what's on his mind, and what was on his mind was that some of the compulsions that I have, because he hasn't seen them, he doesn't really believe that they're there, and a little bit he thinks that I am copying them because I see my mom do them because we have like the same ones, which yeah, some of them did form after seeing her do it, but it's not like I copied her, you know? It's not like I saw her do it and then I'm like, oh, now I should do that too, that's cool.
I didn't even know that.
But like some things I have seen her do, and then like later in my life they kind of formed, and they're like the same things that you already had.
I knew we had a lot of the same ones, but I didn't know it was because you saw me do it.
No, it wasn't like that for all of them, just like one of them mainly. Well, it's not like it came out of nowhere though. It was like I already had one compulsion, and then it turned into, like it developed into this later on. That's besides the point. So he was just kind of misunderstanding it and just kind of saying that I took it as he was saying that my mental illnesses aren't as bad as like my mom's and my brother's, like the way he was saying stuff, and like, and he has it too, just in a different way. So I think he just has a closed mind about things. Like he thinks that OCD and anxiety is one way, but it can't be different forms and other things too.
Joe's OCD is something
a common one.
It's not something that me and Savannah have issues with. He's constantly checking the
I do have
door.
issues with it.
Not like your
but
dad.
Like it's not my main thing.
He's constantly checking the doors to make sure they're locked, constantly checking the stove and oven to make sure they're not on.
He's obsessed with, he thinks the house is gonna catch on fire.
Yeah, he always thinks, or if he goes to his dad's house to check the mail for him, if his dad's out of town, he goes into the garage and he will think that he didn't shut the garage door when he did, but he'll ask us 100 times, did I shut the door? And he'll even go around the block and check. Mm-hmm. So I don't have that.
Yeah. Some of checking and like fearing about like the house burning down or people dying, that's part of my OCD, but tics are like a huge part of my OCD, more so than that, at least lately. Because your OCD can kind of go in phases. If you don't have it, then you wouldn't know that. But like it goes in phases of things that you struggle with. But anyway, so I kind of told her about that. She was like basically saying that I shouldn't feel the need to be validated by others in a way, like how she thinks that I should be able to advocate for myself, you know, and even though he may not believe it because he hasn't seen it, not, you know, like feel like I don't have it because he says that, kind of, and not doubt myself and kind of be confident in the fact that I know what it is, and whether he understands or not, that's like his issue or whatever, you know.
Which is harder to do when it's a family member or someone you're really close to, or a parent that's not understanding it. If it's other people, outside people, it's easier to be like,
I don't care what
fine,
you think.
I don't care. You don't get it,
Yeah.
fine, you don't get it, whatever. But it's different when it's...
Because I've even done that before with friends that I've had. But, you know, when it's your parents, you obviously don't want to... You also obviously don't want to hold grudges and stuff against them, because, like, even when I'm still upset over it, and, like, when one of my parents apologizes after an argument, in my head I'm still like, this is probably going to come up next month and the same thing's going to happen. But, like, because you live with them, because they're your parents, then you just kind of have to, like, forget about it, you know?
So they had this argument when they were in the car, and I was at home when that happened, so I knew nothing about it.
I came home and told her about it, and then we had a big family, like, meeting about it.
Not that day.
And the next day...
Oh! Oh! My knee hit the metal part.
So then we talked about honesty, and how, I'm not gonna say what, but I, like, confess things to my parents all the time, and, like, I tell them everything. If you don't already, like, you probably know that. Like, my parents know literally everything about me, and I've always felt comfortable enough to tell them everything, or else I get, like, a guilty conscience when I don't open up. Like, to me, it's just way easier to tell the truth about things, you know? That's always, to me, it's always been the way to solve problems. Like, you know, hiding things never solves anything, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But for me, it's worked out to just tell the truth, you know? So we talked about that, and how she was like, well, this is good. You think of, you know, you may think of your anxiety and your OCD controlling you, and it doesn't define you, but you may think of it that way and as only negatives. But she's encouraging me to, like, write a list too for my homework of, like, to find positives in things that my anxiety does for me. Like, for instance, being honest. She was like really questioning me on where I think this rooted from, like why I'm always honest with you guys and why I feel bad for not being honest, which is something I don't always think about. I'm just like, that's who I am, that's how I was raised, I guess. But it does kind of come from anxiety, because I get anxious when I don't tell the truth. And when I do tell the truth, or, you know, just come clean about something, physically I feel a lot better, and mentally I'm in a better headspace. So that tells me that's the right thing to do. So, like, my body saying you feel better tells me that it's a good thing to tell the truth, you know? So that has always made me view that as a positive thing. And
well, not only that, but we also raised you in the sense that you're not afraid to tell us the truth either, because we're not going to scream your head off. We're not going to ground you for the rest of your life for a small mistake. We're not going to beat you or hit you. Or... Which,
I know everyone parents differently, but in my opinion, the way they parent is better, just because instead of yelling at me for something that I did wrong, they're not going to just, like, scream my head off. They're going to say, like, they might be disappointed, but they're going to try to understand why I did that, or understand my feelings about it, or, you know, they're going to try to understand me more and understand that, like, I'm a human, especially, like, if I'm a teenager. Teenagers make mistakes, you know?
Plus, if it's a one-time, or if it's a mistake that you made the first time, it's a first offense, and we talk to you, you know how we feel about it. Mm-hmm. If you were to make that mistake 2, 3, 4 more times, that would be different. We would be really angry.
So I kind of always thought of it as mostly parenting, but now that I talk to her about this, my therapist, I do definitely see it as more of a myself thing. Like, I think starting to see, like, my anxiety and my OCD and my worries have made me more mature in a way, because I'm more cautious about things. Like, I'm less likely to put myself in dangerous situations. I'm less likely to hide things that, you know, and hiding things can be really bad. Not telling the truth, you know.
But the truth is, you have always been this way, and you were born that way. And perfect example is Savannah, when she was a baby, like 1, 2, you know, when she was able to move around and grab things in her reach and stuff like that. 99.999% of toddlers are going to grab things that they're not supposed to touch. It's just a natural thing for kids to do. But Savannah was very different. It didn't matter how old she was. I could leave a lit candle on a table within her reach, and she just knew not to touch it. She knew that's not mine, and I'm not going to touch that. I never had to say, no. I never had to say, don't touch that. She just wouldn't do it.
It carries into my life now. Like, I have so much respect for other people, right? And I also worry a lot to where I ask permission for things I don't even need to ask for permission for, So, like...
I get mad that she does that because it's ridiculous, the things that she asks permission for. She'll be, like, in the living room with us, and she'll
Can I have this drink?
Can I have this drink? Can I go get a drink?
I just don't want to take things, and then people be mad at me. Anyway, so my therapist was saying that that's, like, actually a really good quality that most people don't always have, even adults. And that's something that comes from my mental illnesses and stuff, and from me, that is a positive thing and turns into something good. Even like the researching thing, like I have this thing where I research things and it makes me worry a crap ton about stuff that I don't need to worry about. But sometimes it can be good because that way I'm always been like a self-aware and conscious person, so I know if something is wrong that I did, or I know if something, I have that ability to like be cautious, and I know that I like to be in control of myself, and so that makes me less likely to make bad decisions, and so I don't have to like go through that phase of making those terrible decisions and then learning from it. I already know. Yeah. So she was saying how that's like a positive, like just me being able to see that and understand, just like trying to find positives in what my anxiety can give me, because even though it doesn't define me, it does give me some good qualities, I guess you could say. Like, it does give me some good traits. Like, if you're around me, we're gonna be more likely to be safe. I think she was like, it also helps if it become less overwhelming for my parents if they're not understanding, like if my dad's not understanding my symptoms or whatever. If I were to come and say there's a positive thing coming from it, it would be less overwhelming for him and it would look less like I'm complaining. And so it would be easier for him to understand and like listen to it when there's a positive happening and not just a negative, because, it's less overwhelming.
Point. Yeah.
So she was talking to me about that. And then
I think he would understand that too, because his own OCD of checking stuff, his positive is that we know that we're not going to get broken into or blow up our house because he's checking it constantly. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with, like, even if you don't have anxiety or OCD or any of those things, it's the same thing they say about fear. Fear is healthy for you because it shows you it's keeping you safer. Like, if you're afraid that, something's going to happen when you go over here, you're being more cautious when you go there, rather than just flying off the handle and doing something.
And with, like, honesty, like, usually, like, the way I word it is I self-deprecate myself in a way, and I'm like, oh, I'm a terrible liar. But she was like, flip that and just say you're really honest, and you're a really good, like, truthful, trustworthy person for that, and you're open. And, like, it's not even just with my parents, with my friends or anything. If there's a problem or if there's something going on, I just tell the truth. It's just, and, like, even without the anxiety, it's worked out better in the end. Like, I feel like, honestly, just being honest just makes everything better,
It really does.
Like, I don't get why, that's why I look at other people and see when they lie. That doesn't make sense to me, because it just makes things worse. And it's helped me in the long run, too, because now my parents, because they know that about me, they obviously believe me when I tell them things, because I'm not very likely to lie. They can tell when I lie, number one. Number two, I never lie. And number three, even if I did lie, I would probably go to them 2 days later and tell them the actual truth. Yeah. So
you're more trustworthy because you're.
Yeah. That's basically like most of what we talked about.
The whole session? Mm-hmm. So anything else? There was nothing else really talked about?
I mean, that's basically it. Should we just give an update on like how our overall mental health has been lately?
Now that you started back at therapy, do you think you're back on the right track again and doing a lot better?
Yeah. I always look forward to therapy. I don't know. I just really like it. I just prefer to be in therapy. When I'm too long away from therapy, I don't know why. I just break down because things bottle up inside me and then I just boom.
I need to go to therapy.
Then go to therapy.
I don't get free service like you.
Why can't this be your therapy? I've done enough research on it. I am a licensed psychologist. So you can tell me your problems and I'll talk to you about it.
I am not going to do that. You're my daughter.
Okay, do you want to give an update to about your mental health? I could give an OCD update if you want because I'm...
Let's see. My mental health.
I do not know.
I mean, I don't really, like...
Have you been feeling anxious? Have you been feeling down? Have you been feeling OCD?
I will, yeah, I mean, I do have moments of feeling anxious, you know, every day, like, but my medicine really does help with that, but I do have moments. I'm
convinced medicine does nothing. Those pills are just made out of powder that's nothing, because it doesn't help me do anything.
It helps me. Here's what makes me the most anxious, and you're gonna get all defensive and get all angry, but Savannah and her dad argue a lot.
That's what makes you angry?
It's like an everyday thing, just about, and it does raise my anxiety because it's like I don't want to listen to the same.
That is not
shit
true.
over and over.
Listen, it's not even always. Yes, I do butt heads more with my dad than I do with my mom, which is such a strange thing. I feel like that's so weird. But most of the time, we're not even actually like arguing. Some of the time, we just joke around, argue, and then you're like, "Don't loop me into this." And then,
but I know
she
that
gets
if
mad
they don't
because
stop, it'll turn into a
she
real
gets
argument.
mad because when we do have real arguments, somehow she always gets like looped into the argument and like drawn into it, and like I don't know, every time she gets dragged in, then she gets all upset because then they have an argument, and that's why she gets mad about us having
The reason why it gives
arguments.
me anxiety is because, first of all, I don't like hearing people argue. I grew up in a home where that's all my parents did, so I just don't like hearing arguing. But the thing that makes me the most anxious, I think, is the fact that if you and your dad are butting heads about something, even if it's not even a full-blown argument, you're just like really disagreeing about something, and then you both will look at me like, well, whose side are you on? And then I don't want to give an answer because no matter what I say, someone's going to be mad at me. And usually I have to say I'm on Savannah's side because my husband is being over the top about something. But I can't take her side because my husband will get mad at me and say I never back him up on anything.
Okay, final update. I want to talk about my OCD. Can I give an OCD update?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
My OCD is the same. It's always bad. No, I don't have a medication to help my OCD.
Mine is always bad, but okay, when I had my old therapist, there was a complete, usually I always have one compulsion or obsession that's way bigger than the rest. It was a completely different one with her, and now that I'm with this girl, I've changed phases, and I've gone into the freaking rolling my eyes, blinking, compulsion so bad. I do it constantly, all day long.
I hate it,
and it gives me headaches.
I hate it when you say it out loud because then it makes me want to do it.
Yeah, it gives me headaches. I constantly do it literally all day long.
So
and it's so annoying.
When you say to me, I don't know why my head hurts, you really know why your head hurts.
Yeah, most of the time, but well, it's annoying because it can't be always hurting from that, right?
Yeah, it is. If you would just tell me that's what... She's never told me. She'll be like, I have another headache and I don't know why I keep
what am I supposed to do about that?
You're supposed to tell me that I think my head hurts because of this.
I mean, I have before. But what is that going to do? What does that change?
It doesn't change anything other than the fact that now I know why your head hurts and it's not a mystery to me.
But yeah, that's the thing that me and my dad had an argument about, was my mom has always struggled with that. Like, and I've grown up always, not to embarrass you, but I've grown up always noticing it in a way, which obviously never bothered me because I have OCD too. So like, not that I like always knew it, but I always had weird compulsions and stuff too. But I grew up always noticing it, and it started for me not being associated with this, but it started with just blinking. And then it turned into rolling my eyes and stuff, like very like visibly, like you can see it in these videos.
I don't see it on you. It's like very rare.
I see it in your videos all the time, and it's so ugly.
I don't notice it in you. I'm never not moving. It, like, I'm always moving my body, my face. Something is always moving, and people need to understand it's involuntary. Like, to an extent, it's involuntary to where I'm not thinking I'm gonna do this now. You know, if we really wanted to, we could hold it back, but it's like an itch that you have to scratch. You can't not do it. So I know that I do it. It started for me when I was a kid. It was nothing but eye rolling. That was all it was. And it is embarrassing. Even to this day, it's embarrassing, but there's nothing I could do about it. So if anybody has an issue with that, that's your problem, not mine. This is something I have to live with this. And if it bothers you, then just don't look at me or talk to me, whatever. But yeah, it's not fun to have.
Yeah, like there's a thing called Tourettic OCD, which I only recently heard of, and I'm pretty sure it's what we have because our compulsions are often like tics. And when you get tick ones, it's not just like, it can be with obsessions, like I need to do this or else like you get anxiety about it, but it's also a physical urge, like you feel unsatisfied physically. Like you feel like you're uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Like for me, when I don't do it, I feel so uncomfortable. Like I feel like my mind makes up that I'm feeling like, not pain necessarily, but it feels like something's happening, like something's wrong with me when I don't do it.
Yeah.
Your mind makes you feel like you're physically like not okay if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can't not, it's really.
Yeah.
It's near impossible to not do it.
So that's my biggest one lately, is I've literally been doing that like so often. It's so annoying because it's.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the best way to describe it is like if you have an itch that itches so bad and you have to scratch it, or if you're holding your hand over an open flame, like right on it, and the longer you hold it there, the hotter it gets, and your natural instinct is to pull your hand away. That's what happens to us. It's our natural instinct to fulfill that need. You have to pull it away. You have to move your eye. You have to move your arm. You have to, whatever it is, you have to do it. It's just what we have.
Yeah. And like, it's not like I'm incapable of holding it in. Like at school, I definitely try to stop myself, or at least make it less noticeable that I'm doing something. It's not even just that one though. It's like a lot of other ones that I do that I just like try to make less noticeable because, you know, a lot of people don't understand what that is. Yeah. And even if they did see it and know that it was a tic, they would think that you had Tourette's or something.
Somebody actually asked me that one day at my job, and I was like, that is the most rude thing, to walk up to a complete stranger and say that. But even people in my family when I was younger would comment on my eyes, and it would just embarrass me so bad. Like, you don't have to point it out. I know I'm doing it.
Yeah, and like other people, like, even if you do have Tourette's or a disability, it doesn't, like, I don't know why people think that that's all you can be. Like, they think that it's your whole personality and that it makes you, like, stupid or something. And, like, they think of those people as just, like, stupid. Like, they're still human beings. We're just like you. Like, people with disabilities or people with OCD or anxiety or anything like that. We're not crazy. We're not stupid. We're not different. Like, we're just people, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get why there's a stigma around, like, we're weird for things like that.
I think that ours is particularly more looked at as weird compared to other OCDs or anxieties because it's so noticeable on our faces and things like that.
And
when
it's
we're
not
moving.
talked about.
So you don't see that as often in people, and people
Yeah.
don't ever talk about.
No one
tics.
knows that exists.
Yeah,
really.
no one talks about tics ever, and it's like I notice other people with tics because I have tics, and I don't look at those people any different.
Yeah, and it's not even that's not even my only like tic either.
Right, I have a million.
I cannot even like relax my body
No,
because like I'm constantly tensing my muscles, like kind of like a little bit like twitching in my neck a little bit. Not like Skylar,
I do too.
but I do like have like a little bit where I'm like my head feels weird right now, like it feels uncomfortable for some reason, even though it probably doesn't actually. Like also I don't just normally like crack my knuckles and stuff. Well, I mean I do, but like I also, if I don't crack my wrist or something, it feels uncomfortable. To me, I'm like, oh my god, if I don't do this, like it's so uncomfortable. I have to.
Yeah.
So I have lots of those.
Honestly, I would never wish for my child to have to go through this, but at the same time, it helps me knowing that someone else goes through things that are pretty much identical.
Yeah, because sometimes if I get a new compulsion or something, like when I was like first like having OCD, I would tell her about it, and she'd be like, I go through that too. I didn't even know other people had that.
Yeah, I thought my whole life that I was the only person in the universe that did certain things that I do. For the longest time, I thought that. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why did I have to be born to where I can't stop moving my muscles, or I can't stop something?
Yeah.
And I look at other normal people and they can just sit there and not move a muscle, and I get so jealous. Like, that's not fair.
So yeah, that's it.
This is way longer than it should have been, honestly.
You can cut some out.
Yeah, I will. But anyway, that is our mental health therapy update. And then extra stuff thrown in from me too, I guess. Before we go, I wanted to give a shout out to another YouTuber. There is a girl who follows my channel and Savannah's channel. She watches all of our videos, comments on all of our videos. I love her. She's the sweetest. She's 14. She lives in Japan. I think she was raised in Canada, but she's Japanese and she lives in Japan. But yeah, she has a channel also, and she does, like all the typical things like challenges or, story times or clean with me, like she'll clean her room and stuff. But I'll put her channel name on the screen here. It's Aki Iwata. And yeah, so she's 14. But I'm an adult and I enjoy her channel too, It's not just for, young girls.
Yeah, she's super nice, and there's something on her channel for everyone. She does singing too.
Yeah, she does. I've seen a couple of her singing videos. She plays the piano or something while she sings.
But she's so sweet, so go check her out and support her.
All right, so that is it for this video. Leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, poopies!